Hello, Dan Joss. How are you today?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Good.
So we are heading towards the end of the year. I mean, we're not like in late December, but
Well, you count Christmas and Thanksgiving and a few other things. We're near the end of the year.
yeah. So probably ought to talk a little bit about money talks for end of the year. What do you think?
Okay. Well, one thing we're doing is what's required for some clients is their required distribution from their IRA.
Wow.
You got to do that before the end of the year. And I think we've mentioned before, if you don't take your required minimum distribution, it's a 50% penalty.
That's a sizable penalty. They're going to distribute that money some way, somehow.
So as an advisor, we make sure that our clients take the required distribution.
Okay.
And then on the other end, we're saying, hey, maybe put something in your IRA if you're at that phase of life.
Okay.
Let's just do it before the end of the year.
Yeah. That's a good plan.
Technically, you could do it next year, but just do it this year.
Yeah.
And then next year, we'll work on doing it early in the year.
Early in the year.
So that you get the whole year of market returns for that contribution.
Well, that makes good sense. That does make good sense.
And then we're cleaning up some things.
Okay.
Like we can consolidate or close some accounts. If we can get that done before the end of the year, then next year they don't get another statement or another tax form. Just fewer things is better.
Right.
I had a client last week consider what would happen if they paid off their mortgage. So we chit-chatted for about 20 minutes.
Right.
Pros and cons, and not just the money part of it, but the feeling part of it and the debt part of it and all that stuff.
Right.
And yesterday they called and said we paid off our mortgage.
That's good.
So before the end of the year. So next year they won't get a mortgage statement.
Right. And they won't get a mortgage interest deduction, and they'll have to pay their own insurance.
Right. No escrow. So insurance and taxes, they do themselves.
Right.
They weren't benefiting from the interest deduction because the standard deduction was increased a few years ago to a pretty good amount.
Okay.
And so that benefit went away.
Okay.
But they're happier.
Right.
And more at peace with owning their house.
That's good.
So we're kind of excited about that.
That's good. I look forward to that. Yeah. That'll be a good thing. So that's a yearly thing.
Another thing for parents or grandparents with expecting college students, 529 contribution has to be done this year to count this year in Virginia, a Virginia tax deduction, a small tax benefit, but this is the year. Kind of year by year, we make our contributions and withdrawals.
Okay.
So it's another thing to do.
Right. That's a great suggestion for the grandparents out there, too, because parents are always thinking about it, but maybe not the grandparents. Oh, you know what? I could make this tax savings thing.
Make a contribution to a grandchild's college education fund.
Nice.
And they benefit.
That's good.
And probably, if there's a few years to go, the student will get more than grandma and grandpa put in.
Right.
Because the markets gave them some return.
That's good. And then maybe the grandchild will come over and rake their leaves.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. It could happen.
Keep dreaming.
Keep dreaming. Okay.
Another thing is if you're a small business and you want to open a plan, it's too late to open a simple IRA, but a SEP IRA, solo 401k, those kinds of things, even IRAs, you can open before the end of the year.
Right.
You could actually open next year, but again, let's do it in this year and get the deduction this year, and next year we'll worry about next year's cash flow. And
it's still not too late this year to call you and find out what those things are, because there could be a business out there that doesn't know what all those different types of IRAs are.
Right. Give us a call, although just because it's not at the year end doesn't mean we're getting close, because we have our clients, and that's top priority.
Right.
So give us a call. We'll assess where you're at and then help with what we can this year, and then we'll be way ahead of the game next year.
That's a good plan. That's a good plan.
Good.
All right. Well, Dan Joss, it is always a pleasure to speak to you. Do you mind sharing your phone number and website with our listeners?
Yeah, our website is jossbrown.com, JOSS Brown.com, and our number is 757-903-2127.
All right. And how much are they going to get charged for that first initial phone call?
Nothing.
I love that. That sounds like good financial advice.
30 minutes.
30 minutes.
Give us a call.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Money Talks is a weekly program presented for the listener's benefit and entertainment. It is provided at no cost to the listener, and the ideas, opinions, and comments are not to be construed as legal advice, tax advice, investment advice, or other advice specific to the listener. Listeners are encouraged to seek the advice of a licensed professional or other qualified party when dealing with financial, legal, tax, medical, investment, insurance, taxidermy, plumbing, electrical, carpentry, real estate, chiropractic, veterinary, oral hygiene, hot air ballooning, etc. We have given you some food for thought. Now, call a licensed professional such as Dan Joss at 757-903-2127. Thanks for listening, and remember, failing to plan is planning to fail.